Welcome to the very first episode of Breaking the Stigma podcast. During the episode, I got the pleasure of speaking to Craig Harrison. He's a former corporal of the Horse and the Blues and Royals. Craig held the record for the longest sniper kill from 2009 to 2017. But more importantly, Craig's been very open about his struggles during the army and more so upon leaving and the lack of support he's found. The episode is very moving and I hope you enjoy. Thank you.
When I was a child, I was more looking after them. So when I went to school, I'd get up early in the morning, deal with that, and then go to school, come back, deal with that. So I didn't really socialise as a child. I was really worked, at a young age. And so I never really socialised much. But yeah, good upbringing, And my mum said, you're going to join the army at 10 years old. You're going to join the army. And that was what you were going to do. So my focus at a young age, I thought, well, I'm going to join the army. So, yeah.
Happy days, happy days. It brings me on to a few more questions about. It's a very supportive family that you had then.
Yeah. I'd say my mum was very supportive of me. My grandfather, 100% supportive. They was all in the RAF, and the RAF, the old dog handlers, and my granddad was in the RAF in the Second World War as well. So the forces is in our blood. So I joined the army, and my brother joined the army a year before me as well. So we sort of kept it in the family, all the forces blood.
So talk me through the very first time you went into that recruiting office. Was it a daunting time for you, or were you just skipping in there?
Do you know what? I think if I was in my 20s or my late 20s and joined at a later age, I think it'd be more daunting. I think because I joined at 16 years old, I was a clean canvas and I didn't know what to expect. So I just walked in there. Really, I've always been quite confident in myself. I didn't really think I'm going to shit myself here walking in. I just walked in and I said, look, I want to join the army. How do I go around about doing it? And they set me around doing it, set me the exams to do, and then pass the exams, pass the medical. Next minute, I'm on a train going to Purbright.
So, I mean, at 16 years old, when you're jumping straight in the deep end like that, I'm sure the first few weeks in your training was quite intense.
Yeah, never been away from home, and like I said, I wasn't a social butterfly, so I'm mixing with other people now, Scottish, Irish, all because when I joined the army, it was the Guards Depot.
Right.
I think it's all arms now, but it was just meant for the Guards. And the Household Cavalry is a part of the Guards division. So, and I got picked on a little bit, called a donkey wallop or horse shagger, God knows fucking what, because I was in the Household Cavalry and I wasn't in the Guards. But I fucking just took it on the chin and just cracked on every day, yeah.
Perfect. So obviously, you said they're quite a intense introduction when you've got obviously older men that will be like your corporals, your sergeants, are making sure that you're toeing the line there. So I can imagine it was a very rough period until you got into your groove with everything there and how it worked.
Yeah, well, my sergeant used to make me, well, the staff sergeant in charge of us, the chief sergeant, used to make me stand at the end of my bed because my bed was by the main door. And I used to stand there and he used to make me stand to attention and hit me on the head with a pay stick. And he used to make me shout, morning, sergeant, as loud as I could. And in the evening, he used to make me stand at the end of the bed again to attention, smack me on the head with a pay stick and say, good night, sergeant. And he did that for 365 days because that's how long my training was. I think training is different now. You do, I don't know how many weeks, then you go to Harrogate and do stuff there. But when I joined, it was a full year away,
Again, it takes a special kind of breed for you, obviously yourself going through that and just leaving your family and being able to integrate into military life. I had aspirations of doing it myself as a kid, but I got into rugby instead, so I kind of it goosed my aspirations, got to knee injuries. I've previous interviews I've watched yourself, obviously your wife's a big part of where you are now and obviously helping you through the issues that you have. When did you meet her?
I met her on my first tour of Iraq. I've just come back and I went up to go and see my mother, who lived in Catterick. And my friend invited me down to Bedford, so I got on my camper van because I was on leave and drove all the way down to Bedford. And like I said, I was a loner. So, and I drove down there and I pulled into the services halfway and I thought, what the fuck am I doing? Can't be arsed with this, because all we're going to do is go on the piss, get drunk, eat kebabs and God knows what. And I thought, I don't really want to do it because it's not my sort of thing. But I thought to myself, well, I always do it. I always turn around. Just give it a go, Craig. So I've talked myself into it. Went to Bedford. My mate didn't show up. And I was just stuck in a pub, and then Tanya walked in with her friend, and then we got to start talking from there. And 20 years on, we're still talking.
There we go. It's a real life love story, mate, where you just straight away you click and then that's it for you. Then
Oh, massively, massively. She is, yeah, I wouldn't be here now if it wasn't for her, without a doubt. And the support she gives me when I was going on tour as well. And that's what I needed, because last thing I wanted is to have negativity when I'm going on an op or something, and have something playing in the back of your mind. That's stuff you don't want. You want a clear mind and knowing that all your shit, is all settled at home before you do anything going on tour.
Yeah. Did she ever have any like hesitations at first when she found out you were in the military? Was there ever any?
Not really. Her dad thought, she's marrying a squaddy. Now, squaddies are different. Squaddy's a bloke who just goes around, goes on the piss, fighting and all that, and then you get a professional soldier, and that's what I was. Until he got to know me, and I invited him into the mess and all the sergeant's mess, and he got to meet other people, and he thought the army life was fucking absolutely outstanding and brilliant, and his whole attitude changed towards me then.
That's good, man. It's one of those where you're a soldier, but you're still scared of the in-laws and the father because you need to make sure on the good side.
Yeah, massively, yeah.
Uh, go back to your first deployment then. So, how far were you in training when you were then called out to go, and how did you feel?
My first deployment was in Bosnia. I've because I did Knightsbridge first on the horses because that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a farrier. And that's why I joined the Household Cavalry before because I loved horses. I loved the aspects, and I thought, well, there's no prospects in Cheltenham, so I joined the Household Cavalry to be a farrier and to ride. But it never turned out like that. So I ended up going to Windsor, which is the armoured side, because our regiment split into two, ceremonial and armoured. And it's reconnaissance that the regiment specialises in. And I think I was there for 6 months. And and we got deployed to Bosnia. Now, the Bosnia was all the fighting had gone really and settled down. It was more peacekeeping, doing roll patrols. They call it op massive, because all you do is spend your time in the gym doing patrols, go to the gym, do patrols, go to the gym, and you come back and your girlfriend at the time goes, "What the fuck have you been doing?" Because you're twice the size as you were before you left. But it wasn't bad. I think I did 3 tours of Bosnia, and they weren't bad at all. Saw some dead bodies, never came under any fire or any contacts or anything. It was mainly just keeping the peace. And I think from there, we went to Kosovo after that, and that was a total different shitstorm, and that's fighting. And we fought for 3 months in Kosovo.
Yeah.
And then after that, they decided that we were pulled out of Kosovo because we were a fighting force, but there wasn't enough blokes and no one to replace us. So they said, you're staying in theatre. So we stayed in Kosovo doing peacekeeping role. So 1 minute of fighting, next week. So the bloke down the road that's been shooting us for the last 3 months, now giving him pencils and a football and doing hearts and minds, so it made no sense. But yeah, it was a bit of a lick out Kosovo, yeah.
It's quite the contrasting because obviously from there you've obviously went into Iraq and then Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So from that there, I'm presuming Iraq is a lot more intense from the get-go. It's straight into heavy fighting.
Oh, massive, yeah, and IEDs and stuff like that. So it's a whole different sort of training aspect that you've got to take in consideration as well. So you do 6 months to a year training prior going on up, and just get rid of the green side because you're in the desert or you're fighting in an urban because their houses are made out of like straw, shit, and mud and all sorts. So it's a total different sort of aspects of fighting in that location. But yeah, that was pretty full on as well. But if I ever think about what made an impact on me, I think it would be Kosovo that made a big impact on me. Yeah.
Because you're going from the fact when you were in Bosnia and you obviously said it wasn't more just an exotic gym for you, and then you go from there
Yeah.
into fighting, and it's night and day for you. You have to like find that switch where you go from right, okay, now I'm actually having to be aware of what I'm doing. There's people trying to kill me here, so I need to actually click on. I can
Oh
imagine.
yeah, massively. Yeah, and IEDs as well. Because there was no IEDs in Bosnia or Kosovo, and then the IEDs sort of like cascaded into Afghan. So Afghan started getting IEDs, and then they went into Syria and IEDs everywhere. So yeah, so once we flushed the Taliban out of certain areas, they just went into different countries and made that miserable.
Yeah. What got you into the sniping aspect then? What made you want to pursue?
I saw, like I said, I'm more of a bit of a loner,
Mhm.
and I remember going into a city called Alamava in Iraq, and we fought to get in there, and it was a big old fight to get in there, and we took over this big stadium, which is a big football stadium, and I remember the Royal Irish were there, and there were snipers up high around the stadium. And I went for a walk one evening, and I went up to the top, and I started speaking to one. And do you know what? He didn't look at me at all. He just totally professional, totally on the glass, constantly, totally scanning his arcs. Totally, totally, totally professional. But he had the courtesy to talk to me as well. And I thought, and I noticed that they got treated like blokes, not like kids, because sometimes in the army you get treated like a kid, but yeah, you get treated like men. And I thought, this is what I want. But there was no role at the time in my regiment for snipers.
Right.
So every time you finish a tour, your sergeant major will go around and say, what do you want to do? And yeah, I think I want to be a sniper because you have to do career courses. And I felt I want to be a sniper. You can't. There's no role for it in the household cavalry. Okay. And I just kept badgering and badgering and badgering. And then finally, they allowed snipers. The whole role changed. And they said, yeah. And I went, fucking brilliant. You just answered my dreams there. So next thing I knew, I was going down Purbright again, where I did basic training to do my basic sniper course.
How was the sniper training? I'm presuming that's you're stuck in the middle of nowhere and you need to just make sure you can get to a target and train like that, is it?
Yeah,
So
so basically you do 4 weeks of shooting, constantly, repeating it all over again. So you do shooting from near, mid, and far, and you got to pass shooting at near, and then you got to shoot far. Sorry, mid. You got to pass that badge test. It's called badge test, and then you do far, which you got to pass that. And if you fail one of them, then you can't progress on to being a sniper. So if you pass all that and fail the sniper's phase, you become a sharpshooter in your regiment. But the sniper phase is the hardest. Being the sneaky bastard is the hardest bit. Yeah.
and I suppose obviously you said you were a loner growing up, so that's obviously straight up your street where you're alone. You've got your I presume you had a spotter. Do you have anything like that, or was that
Yeah, I had a spotter. Yeah, yeah. And I'm still. He just got discharged out of the army in October with really bad PTSD, And I did 4 tours with him, and we got really close, working as a pair. But yeah, when I was in training, yeah, you're on your own. You're on your own, and that's why I enjoyed being on my own, and I excelled, and because the only person that could fuck up is yourself.
no? It, I presume sometimes though it can be quite. I know you like you said obviously you're a loner and you enjoyed that, but I presume it can be quite lonely when you're just there and there's nothing really going on and you're kind of just looking through the scope the whole time. Does it get tedious or was it always just something you
Not
loved?
really. I make stories up in my head. I look at the target and I'm making stories up. There's Bob, there's Beryl, and there they come because you got to keep your mind occupied. And once you've made them stories up, then you keep yourself a bit sharper, and it does help. Otherwise, you're just going to go sluggish on the scope, sluggish on the trigger, and your skills and drills will fail. So,
See, when you watch all the films with snipers, like your what was the one with Chris Kyle?
oh, American Sniper.
Yeah, it makes it look all glamorous. Is it like that when you're actually there on the front lines? Is it always something's happening? There's always something going on, or is it just
Yeah, there's always something going on, but you got to think when you go on tour. Hollywood make it like you're in the shit 24/7.
yeah?
It's not. There's quite a bit of downtime as well. I think my last two tours of Afghan, it was quite full on. I didn't have much downtime because I was a sniper, and you're a prize asset to be used.
Mhm.
And as a sniper, you can fuck a lot of things up. One, they don't know where you are. Second, you've got a high-powered rifle with a scope on. You can PID targets from a long way away,
Mhm.
and yeah, you can really fuck everything up for them. And that was the idea, and that's what I achieved.
When you got in, obviously, when you became a sniper, was that Iraq or was that Afghanistan?
Well, when I first
When you
became,
first started, became a sniper, was it?
oh right, yeah, I did Iraq. So yeah, I went to Iraq as a sniper, and then I bounced tours onto Afghan as a sniper as well. Yeah.
I presume that it was a lot different terrain because obviously Iraq's a lot more street-based fighting, I presume, and then Afghan's a lot more desert.
Not really. It's 50. But do you know what? It's exactly the same. Exactly the same. You go into Basra City, it's exactly the same as you go into North Musakala and you see this little town there. It's exactly the same. And there's sand is sand, it still gets fucking everywhere. But yeah, it's Afghan's a beautiful country. It's just the people that fucking ruin it,
Yeah.
and it's very, very urban, and so is Afghan, very urban. But you do come across these big towns and all that. So yeah, I'd say about the same, really.
We're going a little side tangent here because obviously now Afghanistan, we've pulled everything out. There's no American forces, no British forces. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it was all planned, to be honest with you. And that's I don't want to go into political with it, but how the Taliban flushed straight across Afghan and the speed they did it at, with no sort of like what I was going to say, no one sort of like stopping them, and they just flushed through Afghan so quick, and then the Americans left all their vehicles there. Yeah, it's all set up.
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere down the line, somebody's had a meeting with somebody else and say, "This is what we're going to do, but we're going to make it out to look like this." You know, yeah.
So a lot of veterans you would think as well are sitting there thinking, well, I've spent so many fucking years there, lost friends, this and that, and then we just pull everything out straight away. And it's like there's nothing to gain for that because I've just lost so much, and it feels like it's for
Yeah,
nothing. It's like
exactly.
picking the stones essentially for everyone that served over there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Kicking the bollocks and a waste of time, waste of lives, and a waste of fucking money.
mhm.
Definitely a waste of lives. Definitely.
Because the airfields and things were left as well. Is it Bagram was a big air base? Is that
Yeah, yeah. I can't remember now, top of my head. I was just caught me off the hop.
watched all the Ross Kemp documentaries? There was one that had like a McDonald's and everything. It was huge, but I can't remember the name of it at the top of my head. But yeah,
Yeah.
um, going back then with your sniper skills. When were they first put to test? When were you first called up? This is your first mission. This is where you're going.
In Iraq, in the desert, it's called the Maysan Desert, and it's absolutely fucking massive. Maysan Desert, you're like a little ant in a big pool. It's just huge desert, and we was in a MOG, and the MOG stands for Mobile Operational Group, and basically it just goes around the desert, and you're called to do ops instead of going back to a firm location. You're just mobile, so you go right. We want you here to do this, then you do the job, then you fuck off back in the desert again, and then so on and so on. You're more mobile, hence word Mobile Operational Group. And every time we stopped, we got mortared all the time, mortared. And so we didn't have time to stop permanently for long periods of time because we just got mortared all the time. And we found out that every time we stopped, a motorbike was following us. And then I got the green light to take him out. and the mob moved off, left me behind. I saw the motorbike, yeah, and I took him out. I think it was like 635 yards or something. Yeah, and I hit him just at the top of his throat. Yeah, as he came off his bike. So, but I had to go and PID him as well. So I went up to the body and took all the information. He had maps on him, he had radio, he had a gun on him. So yeah, he was definitely a bad man. So yeah.
Obviously, that's part of your job. You got to get it done. I know. Obviously, he's trying to kill you essentially. So killing him will be nothing to you. It doesn't mean anything. But does it impact you at all seeing the dead bodies? Does that ever impact you?
Oh yeah, massively. You think if you lined 100 people up and all been in the army, and you said, right, have you who's killed someone? I guarantee one or two will put their hand up, because the people have done their whole career about shooting around in anger, But as a sniper, you've got to do your job. And when I first killed this guy, I thought I was in trouble. I thought I was in trouble. I've killed someone, and you normally think, "Fuck, I've killed someone." And it took me a good week to settle down to realize that, okay, yeah, it's my job. I'm a sniper and it's my job. I'm meant to be doing what I'm doing, But you've got to remember, as a sniper, the first role of a sniper is to gather lifetime information of the battlefield. That's the role of a sniper, and the secondary role of a sniper is to shoot them. All right. Everyone thinks being a sniper, you go out and fucking shoot everything. It's not that. You're observing, you're gathering information, you're writing things down, you're drawing things. And if the target needs to be taken out, and then it gets taken out by you.
It's similar again. It's going back to the Hollywood aspect, but there's a film Lone Survivor. It's based on Marcus.
Yeah, yeah.
So on that, you watch them. They're setting up in the house, and they're drawing the compound, how everything looks. I'm presuming, obviously, what you do, it's the same thing where you're drawing who goes in when, what time they come out, how long they stay there, cars that go in. You're counting how much things go through.
Yeah.
So, as you say, there's a lot more to it than just going somewhere, laying down, pointing, pulling the trigger.
Yeah, exactly. And it's called pattern of life. So you're getting to know their pattern of life, and you, like I said, you're just gathering so much information before you make that call to go down and take them out. Like that patrol. That patrol's mission was to go in and take as much information as possible, And it just happened they got bumped by the shepherd boy,
Yeah.
Pardon me.
That's fine. Again, that goes back to because you watch them and they have the three options. It's either cut them loose, kill them, or hike up. And you'd think they picked the wrong option, but obviously with all the codes of conduct and things, you can't engage in.
Yeah, well, the officer made the call,
Yeah.
So
another Hollywood aspect, but I've watched interviews with him as well, and he says it's all true to life. So, other things we can go into. With your downtime when you come out of a mission, how long roughly is there like no rough estimate of a mission? Is it however long it takes for you to be there, or have you got like an allocated deadline where you've got like a week to do this? Or
no, James. Sometimes I'd go in. I've been on the ground for 9 days. I'd come in and they said, "Right, you're back out," and I've got time for a shit shower. Phone the missus up, tell them I'm all right, tell them you won't hear from me for another couple of weeks, and then I'm back out again. And sometimes I come in and I want to have a mission for 4 days. So I have 4 days downtime. But that downtime, I'm prepping my gear, making it better, doing dry training as a sniper. Dry training is the most important thing you can do. And you're getting behind the scope and you're just practicing all the time because it's a perishable art. If you don't keep on board of it, it's not going to work for you.
how did your wife deal with the 2 weeks not knowing? Because I'm presuming for her that's hectic because she doesn't know what's going on, if you're okay, things like
Yeah.
that. How was
It's
it?
long. It's long for her. She hated it. She hated it when I used to, and you can see the sour relief in her voice. When she heard my voice, because obviously the news did a lot of highlights of Afghan and Iraq. But when they filmed it, it was just fucking full on fighting all the time. So more propaganda more than anything else, and people just watching it, and it's not true to life what it was.
Mhm. Was there any circumstances where it was like too hot for you, like there was like near death experiences when you're out fighting?
Yeah, I've been in a close few calls. Like one call, I rang Tanya up, and You know, I was in a massive contact, and we was in this building, and we had to protect this building. No matter what, we had to protect this building. So me and my number two were on the roof snipering, and it got to the point where we thought we were going to get overrun. And the last voice that I wanted to hear is my wife's. You know, I didn't want to hear my number two's voice. I wanted to hear my wife, so I rang her, and I said, "Look, everything's all right. I just want to hear your voice." And she wanted to know what the noise was. You know, everyone was shooting, blasts, bombs, everything, RPGs, and I said, "Look, don't worry about that. I just want to tell you that I love you. Everything's all right, and I'll ring you in the morning." You know, and luckily we won the day, well, won the night, and I rang her in the morning. So.
That's perfect, mate. It's one of those where, from a normal civilian, when you're looking at it, you're thinking British Army and things were fully well equipped. We've got the best gear, best tech, everything like that. But when you've got people that, obviously, the Taliban, it's their area, they know guerrilla warfare, they know everything they can do to try and get that little edge around you. And when you watch some of the films, you're thinking, Jesus Christ, I could not do it. So more respect.
But James, mate, we got shit kit. We got shit kit. But the trouble is, what makes us different than any other soldier in the world, we make it fucking work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We make it work because there's always some petrol pusher who's never been on ops before choosing kit that he thinks it's going to work in the field, and it never fucking does. They call it not squaddy proof. If it's not squaddy proof, it's not going to work, you know? And by many a time I've wore kit and things fell off, and I'm thinking, look, you know, I only had it on about half hour and it's fell apart already. But we make it work, and that's what separates our special forces, our snipers, and soldiers from any other soldiers around the world. Is we make it work.
That's I think my wife's American, so her brother's in the US Army, and I make jokes all the time to her about when you hear all the British and American forces do like tests against each other, and the British always win.
Oh yeah, massively. And don't forget, the American troops have got such massive logistics as well. So every time they go forward, they've got a massive logistics system behind them as well. So every time the front men go firm to make a location, along come the logistics that make it more secure, you know. And they overcome things by mass, you know. And so if they want to attack a building, they do it in mass, and they do it with a lot of firepower. When we do it more intelligently and tactically, I like to think we do anyway.
I'll tell her that when I get off the podcast. Talk me through then, because obviously a lot of people always want to know about the longest kill at that point that was recorded. I think it was 2,400 meters, give or take.
Yeah.
Was that in Afghan or was that Iraq?
No, that was Afghan. That was 3 weeks into my tour. We were assigned to do an op to give Overwatch. And what Overwatch is that we just look down into the location, and the Afghan army were a mixture of British troops, because they called it the omelette, and they felt more confident moving with Overwatch. So, but I could see all the Taliban queuing up for an attack. So I radioed to the patrol that you're going to get bumped in a minute, and they were well aware of that. And I had an interpreter with me on ICOM. He had an ICOM radio, which is tuned into the Taliban radio. And I could see a glint in the far distance, and it was, I couldn't work out what it was. Then I PID'd it. It was some guy with a radio. So I fired my 9 shots it took to get there in the morning, about 11:30 in the morning. And I hit the compound wall. And next week, the radio went really quiet. And then I said to the interpreter what they said, and he said basically he can't help him anymore because he's getting shot at from somewhere, and that somewhere was from me. Well, anyway, the op went on, and I had to make a decision to take my vehicles into the kill zone and me stay on the high ground, because the patrol was getting massacred, you know, injuries, deaths, everything. So I made a buffer between the patrol and the Taliban. And my lads put a lot of firepower down. The patrol got out safely, and then somebody in my driver was my spotter, and he noticed something on the right hand side. A guy about 675 yards away, and he was stood there with an AK, And I thought we're going to get flanked in a minute because as a sniper, you just do one or two shots or three shots and you get the fuck out of Dodge, you know. So I shot him, and it turned out that he wasn't a marker. He had knocked the oil well off the sorry, not the oil well, the water pump head off, and he flooded all the field. So now my vehicles are wheel spinning because the sand's getting boggy and everything, and they were started getting shot at, and I couldn't work it out. I checked all the positions where I had shot these targets, and I couldn't figure out. And the only place I didn't check was at the top. So I knew I could shoot there because I shot there in the morning. So I hit the compound wall. So I thought, right, I don't want to kill him. I'm miles away from him. I'm 2,475 yards away. You know, it's beyond the capable reach of my rifle. So if I could get that far and just get their heads down so my lads can get out of fucking Dodge, that's all I wanted. So I fired my first shot. I missed. Fired my second shot, and as I fired my second shot, the guy stood up and I hit him in the chest area. He fell down, and then I fired my third shot. Now each bullet has a 6 second time of flight, so I fired my third bullet and I counted to three, and then I moved my rifle across to the right and I fired again. So now I've got two bullets in the air at the same time. Third one missed, fourth one hit the other guy. And the only reason we know I hit him is because we went up to them to get the weapon off him, stop it circulating in enemy hands. And yeah, it turned out to be two high Taliban leaders. I shot one there, one in the side. Yeah, and it got GPS by an Apache that came down. Because when you're in a contact, they last minutes or seconds. This one lasted to about 11:30 to about 2:30. It was just fucking full on, you know. And so the GPS did at 2,475 yards. And I thought, yeah, brilliant. I didn't even know I broke the world record. Didn't even know until I come home. I just thought, yeah, crack on with the tour. You know, I've done my job as a sniper. You know, lads were okay. No one got injured in my lads. And so got out of Dodge.
When you came back, was it your corporal or was it your sergeant that told you you broke the record, or how did you find out?
I was the sergeant. So,
Oh.
yeah, I was. So, but no, I spoke to a reporter in our medals parade because he wanted to know about some stories to put in the local paper. And I told him about this op, and he said, "Do you realise you broke the world record, Bob Furlong's record?" And I thought, "No, not really." I wasn't really interested, to be honest with you, because I was there with my wife. You know, I was there with my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, and I wasn't really interested. And left it as that. And then next on the weekend, opened the paper, and it was just full of me, my name, my face, my wife's name, my daughter's name, my dog's name, where I lived, everything, where I was born. So everything was in the paper, and that's when we started getting death threats from local fundamentalists in England. They wanted to cut my head off for everything I'd done in Afghan. So,
I mean, again, that goes back to the fact that your loner aspect. You don't want to be known for it. You just want to get on with your job and just get on, like
exactly.
not have all the
Yeah.
publicity and people wanting to.
Yeah, we went into hiding for 3 years. So, it's a long time.
It's ridiculous that you have to even go through that. I mean, it's similar to the SEAL that killed Bin Laden, because he says the exact same thing. He's got so much death threats and constant hate that comes to him, and it's like it could all be avoided if it just wasn't plastered everywhere with the papers and things. So it's
exactly.
Obviously, you mentioned your dog there. I've seen in the interviews previously your dog kind of was a big part of your life. When did
Betsy.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get
I
her?
bought her for Tanya originally, because we wanted a dog, and she was attached to Tanya for a while, and then I took her running. I was feeding her. I was taking her out in the wilderness and bushcraft things, and we just become inseparable. And she died last June. So she was 17 though, so she was a good dog.
A good age to go. We'll come on to Betsy in a little bit. We'll go back to, I know you were injured, which kind of got you out of the army because you were medically discharged. Talk me through that process and what happened. I will also mention as well, we've got 3 minutes left until I have to reset this up. So if it cuts off,
Okay.
But I'll just join. I'll invite you back straight away, mate. All right.
Yeah, no worries. I was on another op, and it was getting late at night, and I made a decision to lead because one of my call signs stopped, and I said I jumped out and I ran to him, and he said, "Look, I've got a bad feeling about this. I really don't want to be in this situation." And I said, "I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll lead. And as a sergeant, you're not meant to lead. You're meant to stay at the back and bring up the rear, and you're the voice of command, really." And so I said I'll lead, and instead of going through the village, I went around the outside, and I hit a 30-kilo anti-tank mine, and it blew my vehicle apart. My driver done his legs in. I flew out to the left-hand side. I broke my arms, had a brain injury, hips were fucked, everything was cut, my face was all slashed up, my hands were lost a digit, and it was pretty shit time. And I remember it was December the 14th at 4:30 in the evening. That's when I got blown up, because I remember looking at my watch, just before I got blown up, and I remember that. So yeah, and then I came home for 6 weeks. I was in casts where my arms healed, and they took the cast off, made me do 10 press ups to make sure my arms were all right, and then sent me back out. Yeah.
And then from there, I presume you started to realise yourself that things weren't the same as they were before, obviously, the injury. And that's when you had...
Yeah, massively. I think it just shattered an ice wall in my body, and I felt different in myself, more quieter, more withdrawn, depressed more. I was taking a lot of painkillers because my head, I was getting migraines a lot and everything like that. But I didn't want to show weakness in front of my superiors. So I just, basically sucked it up and just cracked on. But I sucked it up and carried on soldiering, and I don't regret it, but I did. When I came back, I said, "Look, something's wrong. Something's wrong." And they would go, "No, you'll be fine. You're good. You're good. Carry on. Go shooting."
Right. So we'll go back to, obviously, your injury, and you were put back out. At what point? Because obviously it wasn't yourself. You're not. I've picked up from previous interviews, you weren't a guy that was willing to quit out easy. So I believe people above you that were saying, "Right, Chris, it's time to call this."
Yeah, I didn't notice it. I didn't notice it at all. Tanya noticed it before me. My wife noticed it before me, and she noticed that something was wrong. And then the army noticed it. And when the army notices it, then I think you got to stand up and listen, And they sent me to a place in Aldershot called DMH. It's for mental health, and they did a few tests on me and stuff like that. And then I carried on soldiering. I went to the sniper school for 2 years, and then the report came in saying, I've got CPTSD. And then they did more tests on me. I've got a TBI brain injury. My hips were fucked. Everything was knackered. Every time I ran and stopped, the pain was just horrendous. So I was just smashing in painkillers all the time, tramadol, codeine, and everything. And then I got called into the medical officer's office, who's a major, and he said, "You're done." I went, "Pardon?" He goes, "You're done." He goes, "Actually, you're done." And he says, "We got your report back, and that's it." I said, "What happens now?" And he goes, "You go home, and you just wait to get discharged out of the army." And it took a year from there to get discharged out of the army, to sort all the papers out and everything. But my med board sat, and I was discharged with CPTSD, TBI, hip problems, and everything like that. And then that's it. The army didn't just wipe the hands with you. You're done. So
when you hear all the stories about when you're discharged or whenever you leave the army, there's not really any support for you. Were you supported at all when you?
No, was I fuck? No one. Even when I was home on leave for a year, no one visited me. No one. No one from the regiment. No one from the family's officers. No one cared about my welfare. No one at all. And I lie, actually. Now and again, I'll get a call off the welfare office, but it wasn't no one important. It was just a private going, I'm just checking in on you, make sure you're okay. I'm going, yeah, and what if I wasn't? That's what I used to say. And he was going, well, I'll report it. I think, yeah, whatever, mate. Whatever. It was just bullshit. And I think every veteran or soldier that gets discharged at the army should be monitored for at least 2 years after leaving the armed forces. And I believe that will cut down the suicide, that will cut down the homeless, that will cut down PTSD. If they're constantly monitored, and the army stand up to what they've made you, they destroyed you, and they need to mend you. You know.
I mean, it is ridiculous, mate, because a lot of the guys that we have that come are ex-military and they have issues where they come through the doors and they tell us, look, this is all I've got really at this point, because the army, as you say, wash their hands of you. They don't really do much.
Yeah.
But you'd feel like you've given pretty much all your days to that cause, that you'd have some form of procedure where you come out, fair enough, you can't serve anymore, but they've got this waiting for you when you come out. They've got a job sitting there for you that you come out
Yeah.
there, you're straight into
Yeah.
that you've got ready for you. But it's a ridiculous cause that you've got a lot of veterans that are just sitting homeless.
Don't get me wrong, James. There is companies out there that take on veterans, and they advertise, yeah, we take on veterans, until you have a mental health day, until you have a wobble at work, and then they go, fucking hell, what have we taken on here? And then they make a really bone stupid excuse to fuck you off, but they've taken on a veteran.
Mm-hmm. Ticks their box.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming out of the army, how did you adjust back to the civilian aspect of life?
Still haven't. 10 years, still haven't. Still struggle. My wife deals with everything, bills, money, everything, because I can't wrap my head around it. I've got a 9 to 5 job. I start at 6 and I finish at 3:30, and I do that, and I don't work Fridays. And I get the weekends off as well, so which is a bonus, and it helps me out as well. But yeah, you ask anyone, they would never settle back into Civvy Street. There's always that what if factor. But if they knocked on that door now and they came through and they said, we want you back, I'd go back, because that's all I fucking know. Since I was 16 years old, that's all I fucking know, is how to fight, and how to be a sniper. That's all I know, and it's in my blood. So,
how did your wife cope with, obviously, when you came out there straight out of the army? Did she have to adjust to anything with you when you came out, or was she just straight supporting you for the get-go?
Straight supporting me, without a doubt. She is 110% behind me in everything that I do and struggle with, and she's always there to support me. Some people don't have that in their families, wives. Like, for instance, my number 2, he got discharged in October. His wife left him, took the kids and everything. So it destroyed him, absolutely destroyed him. He got sectioned twice. He lives up north in a council flat. He doesn't work because he got behavioural problems and everything. He's fucked, absolutely fucked. But I've got a stable marriage, strong marriage, secure marriage, and that fucking helps 100%. If I didn't have that, I doubt if I'd be talking to you now. I'd be probably out there at Hebrides living off grid, or I'd have killed myself, one or the other.
Again, it goes back to the whole aspect that there needs to be more support there straight off the bat. When you come out, there has to be something there in place that bridges the gap from coming out of the army. There's this for you, and then support needed if you need, obviously.
Yeah.
Interviews I watched for yourself previously, obviously, your dog Betsy. I know that she played a big part in your life. I know that you went to America for a brief spell with your wife. Can you talk me through that?
Yeah, we went to America because the company I worked for had a place in America, because we kept getting death threats all the time. They said, look, do you want this opportunity to go to America? And we said, yeah, fucking yeah. My wife wasn't very keen, but she knew I wanted to do it, and she followed me. And that's a commitment on her behalf. She struggled out there, but then she got used to the lifestyle after. It took her 2 years to settle in, and we was out there for 3 years. And then Trump's new policy, make America great again, he wouldn't renew my visas. And each time the immigration solicitor said it's going to be harder and harder to renew your visa to work out here. And I said, well, I might as well go home. And we made the choice, and we came back to England after 3 years, And don't forget, I've been out of the country for 3 years. So now I'm back in England, got no credit history. So I can't get a car, can't get a phone, can't get a credit card, can't get anything, because I've been out of the country. But luckily, 5 years we've been back. No, we've been back now, and bought myself a house, got myself cars and everything, and we're financially stable. So yeah, all good.
And a massive clock by the looks of it.
With a massive clock when the wrong time.
Oh, the batteries will be expensive for that, mate. The batteries will be too expensive. If you don't mind talking about it, the situation with your dog saved your life.
Yeah, I was in America, and just I was going to shoot myself basically, and with a gun. I was practicing with the gun, unloading it. I was practicing where to put the gun in my mouth, be under my chin, my temple, and then I put a round in, and I put it in my mouth. And I just looked at Betsy, and Betsy was on the back of the sofa, and she just moved her head left and moved it right, like she was really staring at me, really, with those big black eyes of hers. And I took my gun out, unloaded it, and I just cuddled her and cried and cried and cried. In the end, she saved my life. She saved my life, without a doubt. If she wasn't there, I would have done it.
It's very moving, me honestly. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, but people don't understand how important dogs can be. Like, people just think, it's a pet, but it's more than that.
No.
There's nothing more than an animal when you come home and it's just excited to see you, and you're I can turn a shit day so much better just having that little four-legged friend just there to keep
exactly, and she's above and beyond a pet. She's my best mate, and we did everything together, and I registered her in America as my therapy dog. So I took her everywhere, restaurants, work, everything. I took her everywhere. I called her Bombers. She was Bombers. She really was. And then, last year she passed away with old age, really. And I got her ashes upstairs, and I talk to him still. So, yeah. And anyone that hurts animals or dogs are not set right. They don't understand the true love that they can give them. But,
I mean, she had a good life, mate. She obviously done a job for you and your family. So
yeah, never went to the vet. Had her all own teeth. She stunk, but she was good. She was a good girl.
We've recently got a little German Shepherd puppy, and there's days where he thinks that I'm the chew toy. Honestly, he's trying to give him up sometimes, but it makes it worth it when you come home and he's just tails going all the time. So it's
yeah, mega.
Where about in America? Where are you?
Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Virginia.
It's probably 50 miles south of Washington, D.C.
My wife's from Michigan, so I've only ever been over there once. What did you think of it? Did you enjoy the American life?
I loved it. I miss it. My wife's good to come back because obviously my daughter's just had a baby. Betsy passed away. Then my wife had a little dog called Winnie. She passed away. So everything happened while we came back, and to have the ashes near us or buried in the garden or whatever is second to none. And being a granddad as well, I'd have missed out on all that. So we'd have missed out on so much. So yeah, no regrets.
Your day-to-day life now, obviously, I know you've got a lot of issues that you still fight to this day that are still in the head. It's things that no one can relate to, unless obviously it's your own demons that you have to deal with. No one else can have an impact on that. How do you deal with that? And is there anything that you've got found as like a release that helps you get through days where you're feeling low?
I don't plan. I plan every day. I don't plan in advance. So, like today, I plan today. I go to work, go to the gym, go to work, come home, cut the grass, and I plan it. And then I wake up in the morning and I plan for that day. And that's how I cope with it. I can't plan in advance because the way I think up here, um, will I be here? Will my mental health conquer me? And will I do something? And that's what I conquer with all the time. I suffer from suicide ideation, so I think about it all the time, constantly. Doesn't mean I'm going to carry it out. It just means I plan it, think about it, and what I'll do when I do it and stuff like that. And that's constantly in my mind as well. But yeah, so I take every day as it comes, and my feet hit the ground. I say to myself, I'm committed for this day, committed to complete this day, and I do. And medication, heavily medicated. And medication's not the answer. It's not the answer, but it fucking helps. And if it helps you survive the day, then the next day, the next day, then the next day, and put you on an even keel, fucking take it. Take it.
Is there any like things that you do like group wise? Are there any groups that you attend to talk about things, or do you just
No,
do your days with your
no.
gym?
I see a therapist. I see him every Thursday. His name's Ross Hall. Absolutely guardian angel. Fucking top bloke. Looks like Jeff Goldblum, but yeah, he's a fucking top bloke, and yeah, and he's always there for me, and he doesn't clock watch, so I can be in his office for 3 hours just screaming and shouting. He's not giving me an hour of his time. He's giving me how much I want to release all my anger.
It's one of those things where a lot of things work for different people, and obviously you've found a way to keep yourself going day in day out. Do you do like any boxing or things to let anger out, or is it just purely?
Nah, I go to the gym. I can't do much in the gym leg wise because I've got two false hips, so I've got to watch what I do. But I'm in the gym at 3:30 every morning. I'm for a week. I don't train weekends, so took me a long time to set that in my head, not to train the weekends. But yeah, I train every day, and training helps. Releases endorphins. I don't do it to get big. I just do it to help me. I'm 40, coming up to 49 this year. I'm not getting any older, younger. So I say, sorry, younger.
You'll be
So
retirement, mate. That'll be you living the life with your grandbairn. You'll be on
I
baby
know.
all the time. That'll be you.
Get a rocking chair on the patio. Yeah,
You could do that in America, mate. Get yourself a ranch.
I know. Shotgun on leg, rocking on the chair.
The main thing for me over there was the food. The food's so much better in America because it's so bad for you, but it just tastes so much
Oh
better.
yeah, massively, massively. We had a next door neighbour, and they lived in their house for 25 years, and they never ever have cooked in their kitchen. Never cooked in their kitchen. They always went out for something to eat. Always. And they say it's cheaper to do that than cook a meal.
The whole aspect for me that was alien was the whole tipping. Like when you're in a restaurant, you got to tip.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
was like,
yeah, yeah.
I'm Scottish. I can't do that. I can't. I'm too stingy. Um, we've got obviously in the clubs that we have, there's a lot of veterans that do attend. I know quite a few personally that are ex-military that go. Have you got any advice for them if they're struggling, or what would you recommend that a guy maybe that's just coming out of the army should do instead of just sitting festering in his own head?
Talk, talk. Find somebody you can talk to. We need to break the stigma that we can't talk, especially us blokes. We need to break that and yeah, talk and get onto my Instagram. CH Craig COH Craig Harrison is my Instagram. If you've got no one to talk to, fucking reach out to me anytime. I'll talk to you, and even to stop making them stupid decisions. Whatever you're thinking of doing, just talk, and that's what you need to do. And don't be alone. I'm a bit contradiction there because I'm alone and I like being on my own, but I talk and I talk to my wife, and it fucking helps. No skeletons in the closet, cards are on the table, and she knows where I'm coming from with my mental health and my depression, and that's what counts. Yeah, so the only advice I can do is people need to talk more, and especially go to group therapy if it works in a group. Fucking talk. If not, just go there and be quiet and just listen to everyone else. it's taking part that counts.
Spot on, mate. Couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, like I say, with what we do, it's a group aspect, and guys come along all walks of life on a Monday night. You just sit. I think we have over, I think it's 3,000 guys on a Monday that come along all across the UK. There's clubs everywhere. It's just getting guys to break that stigma that we can't. None of this man up anymore. The man up aspect needs to be dropped because there's so much guys.
Yeah.
The suicide rate of men in the UK is ridiculous. It needs to be addressed with people higher up, but obviously politicians they say one thing and do another, unfortunately.
They get the money to these big charities and wipe their hands with it, but then these big charities don't do what they're meant to be fucking doing. They're just more happy getting the money. They go all corporate, don't they? So,
I mean, as you said, it goes back to earlier when you were mentioning when the folk come out and I will employ veterans, we will do this, we will do that. It's all a checkbox exercise just to make sure because I'm presuming they get payment for it for doing that. So if they check the box, it's done.
Yeah.
They get rewards for it. It's just
exactly what it is.
It needs to be addressed to the top, to the bottom, mate. It's a difficult society that we're in just now, but
yeah, without a doubt,
it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Craig. I appreciate you giving me your time.
James, no worries, mate. It's been a pleasure.
I would, if you don't mind, if you've got like a PO box or something, I can get some Andy's Man Club gear sent to you, like hoodies, t-shirts, things like that. It's got the it's okay to talk hashtag.
Oh, Man Club, yeah.
It's got the mental health logo and things in the back as well. I can get all that sent to you. No problem at all. We can get a package sent if you want. No issue at all. And obviously, I'm not going to be one of those guys sending you death threats. I'll just send you goodies.
Okay. No worries.
If you want to do that, absolutely fine, mate.
I'll send my address on the email. So sort something out.
No problem at all, mate. I will end it on the group concept that we do at the club. There's 3 questions every week that are always the same. So it's just a how's your week been, Craig? So we're currently on Tuesday, so we're only a day in, but we'll go from the previous week. So how's your week been?
I take every day as it comes, as I said. And where I work at the moment, all I think in my head is a job. It pays the bills. Coming home to my family is what counts, and that's what keeps me here. But my week's been good, I'm still here and I'm still talking. And if I'm still here and still talking, and then the week's going all right.
You got a positive from your week? Anything positive that's happened this week?
Not yet.
Nothing yet.
Not yet.
The other one, which can be anything at all, so anything to get off your chest. So if anybody's pissed you off driving, anything at all, it's just annoyed you this week.
Lazy people. People that take the glory through your own work. And we'll say no more.
Aye. We'll not name names.
No.
But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, Craig. I'll reach out to you as well. I'll link when I put the podcast up. I'll put your Instagram in there, so any veterans that are struggling, I'll put your Instagram on there so they can obviously reach out if they need to be. All right.
Please do, mate.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Craig. Thank you for your time.
Cheers, James. Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
Cheers.